Hey guys, welcome to Vegan Booty Talks, and I have a guest with me today. She is a NASM certified personal trainer, precision sport nutrition coach, and NPC Bikini athlete. She decided to go vegan in 2013 and eventually created her online coaching business, LuckyMaleVegan.com, to work only with women who want to reach their fitness goals on a plant-based diet. So welcome to the show, Jasmine Marie. Hi, how are you, girl?
I am wonderful. Good to be here with you today.
Hey, thank you so much for showing up. And I'm excited to talk about all the vegan woman health. So my specific questions today, guys, with Jasmine is all about vegan plant-based diet and woman hormone health, how those two things are related, if they are related, and how plant-based diet can help you with hormones. But before we get to those amazing topics, I just want our listeners to know you a little bit better. So could you tell where you're from and what do you do for a living?
Absolutely. So currently I'm living in Las Vegas, Nevada. And as you said earlier, I am a trainer and a nutritionist specializing in helping women transition to a vegan diet. Those are the majority of my clients, either that or I have a lot of women who are already in the fitness space, but would like to learn how to translate a traditional fitness and bodybuilding diet to a plant-based lifestyle, which is what I did myself.
Wow, that's amazing. So can I ask you how long do you compete?
Sure. So I actually competed for the first time. It was several years ago. So I am actually turning 42 years old this month. And I did my first show right before my 30th birthday, but I was not vegan then. And it was something that was brand new at the time. This was 2009, November of 2009. So bikini was brand new. And for those of your listeners who don't know, I compete in NPC bikini competitions. So they were brand new. A lot of girls were still competing in suits off the rack. There wasn't a standard yet for posing or the suit style or anything like that. So I jumped in very casually and didn't have a great deal of knowledge when it came to nutrition. I just knew that I loved the gym and a fitness lifestyle. And so I did a couple of fitness model competitions, but I didn't really do it in the right way, in that I went on very extreme diets. And so I basically stepped away from it because I felt like it wasn't having the positive impact on me that I thought it would. There's a difference between health and fitness and bodybuilding competitions. And while I think that you can, those two things can complement each other, they don't always, and especially for a lot of people that are new to it. So I kind of took a step back. I was still very much into fitness and lifting weights, but I stepped away from competing and became more interested in just staying in shape and eating for overall health and longevity. And as I was studying nutrition, I went back to school. And as I was studying nutrition, I explored a variety of diets, but I noticed that really no matter what diet you went on, most people could benefit from more fruits and vegetables. And I also started learning more about plant-based diets, and in particular veganism, which was something that I really wasn't very familiar with. And it wasn't very common then. Mm-hmm. And to be honest with you, I can't even remember the first time I heard about it. When I was younger, I knew some people who were vegetarian, but I didn't know any vegans. And so school was really interesting to me because we had a variety of speakers from different backgrounds. And as we were hearing from more people that were involved in the plant-based lifestyle, a lot of them spoke about just the sustainability of it. And so I started to question, as someone who is eating like a more traditional fitness style diet, do I really have to eat an entire chicken every day to stay in shape? And so it just didn't seem to make good sense. And also, I was made aware of the cruelty within factory farming, which was also something I was ignorant about at the time. And I didn't go vegan right away, but I just didn't want to participate in those industries that were abusing animals and keeping them in really awful conditions. A lot of times, something that I like to point out to people is, even if you do choose to consume animal product, if you are consuming an animal who's sick and stressed or full of antibiotics, you're putting that in your body as well. And that, to me, right away was just something that not only did I not want to participate in, but I just didn't see how that could be nourishing. So I started to decrease the animal products that I was consuming. And just over several months, as it got less, I started to question, do I really need this at all? And I had people ask me about veganism, and do you think it's impossible to still build muscle and get in shape on a vegan diet? And I was like, sure, of course it's possible. But, something that kept on coming up was like, well, how do you really know if you haven't done it? And so I decided to go vegan as an experiment, but I wanted to really commit. I didn't feel like just having one vegan meal or even going vegan for a couple of weeks would really give me the experience that I needed to know if it was something that could yield the same results as what I was doing before. So I committed to going vegan for 6 months. And during that time, I also hired a coach to help me transition. And I found that I felt so much better, that even though I had initially planned to go back to eating less, but some animal product, that I just didn't feel I needed it at all. I felt like it would actually be taking a step back. So that was in 2013. And now I'm going on 9 years.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing the story. This is so interesting, because usually I interview a lot of people, and usually they go step by step from like plant-based, from American eaters to like vegetarian, or maybe they, eliminate the meat or fish and then they go vegan. And you wasn't even vegetarian first. So this is an interesting story, how you transition from all American diets to vegan, but you hire a coach, and that's great.
Yeah.
That's what actually.
Well, and even though I wasn't vegetarian, I did decrease my animal consumption quite a bit. And I do think it helped that I was eating, even though I was consuming animal product, when you eat a traditional bodybuilding diet, you're still eating a lot of whole foods. So I always ate a lot of vegetables. I was always eating whole grains. So those things weren't unfamiliar to me. And I cooked my food a lot as well. So I was familiar with a lot of healthy practices. And then even though I didn't go vegetarian, I did automatically, I actually cut out dairy before I even cut out beef, just because it didn't really agree with my digestion. And then I cut out red meat and then chicken. And then I got down to the point where I was having fish and eggs only. And even that got less and less. But certainly having a coach helped me shortcut the process. And I see that with a lot of the women that I work with, where initially they'll feel great. And it's generally because they are on a standard American diet where they're consuming all kinds of processed foods and sugars. So when you move away from that and include more whole foods, you will feel good initially. But the issue is they didn't really know how to get specific about nutrition. So a lot of times they're not taking into account that they still need to consume a certain amount of protein to build muscle, and then also looking for specific nutrient dense foods to make sure that they're getting enough calcium and iron and healthy fats, which is definitely possible on a vegan diet. But I see, as especially with the women that I work with, they automatically turn to fruit and smoothies and vegetables. And while those things should definitely be a part of your diet, you need more than that. So I find a lot of times with the women that I work with, we're actually adding more food in than we are taking away.
Yeah, I feel you. Same way, same way. When someone is want to lose weight, they think that they should, start eating less and less, but sometimes it's actually opposite. And that's incredible, especially on a plant-based diet, which is like you can eat more and still lose weight or maintain your weight. That's why I follow with that, because like my meals are huge. And then if you're going to look on the calorie intake, is just lower than if I would eat meat because it's plant-based. So I just also want to ask you, since you moved to the vegan diet, of course, it was 9 years ago, but I'm sure you remember, did you feel any changes in your health, in your performance in the gym, or maybe in your recovery, in your skin, in your hormones, any changes at all?
Yes, I did, which was one of the reasons that convinced me to change permanently, because I already was in relatively good shape and I thought I felt pretty good. But I noticed that pretty much all of my allergies disappeared. I now will only experience a little bit of seasonal allergies just as the winds change and there's different things in the environment. But also what you said about recovery, my recovery really increased in that I just recovered so much faster from workouts. I felt like my digestion was better, and my skin did clear up. I've never had a really big problem with acne, but now I have it almost not at all. And so for those reasons, just because I felt so much better, and I liked the fact that it is a more sustainable way of living, that there was no need for me to consume animal product, that I just wanted to move away from it.
Yeah, exactly. Amazing changes. Why shouldn't, right? But how the idea of helping others come in here?
So I was already working as a personal trainer, and so I've always had a passion for health and fitness, and I get a lot of satisfaction of just empowering people. Like I think a lot of times, especially as we get older, people think that they don't really have as much control over their health and how things change. And there really is quite a bit that we can do just in terms of our lifestyle. A lot of times the things that might ail you as you age are not so much because of your age, but just because of the compounding effects of your lifestyle. So, if you eat poorly for many years, or you're smoking for many years, generally when you have one bad meal, no big deal. But over many years, it all compounds over time.
Yeah.
So just by making healthier choices, we can feel so much better. And so I like showing people that they have control over that. And I always worked mostly with women. And for the longest time, I actually did not advertise myself as a plant-based trainer because I felt like people wouldn't want to work with me.
Why?
And it wasn't as popular when I first went vegan as it is now. And I had a lot of people in my ear too who weren't necessarily trying to be negative. They thought they were looking out for me. But when I first went vegan, I had friends in the bodybuilding space tell me like, oh, you're not going to look as good. You're not going to feel as strong in the gym. And then even when I disproved that, they were saying, well, you want to make sure that you don't pigeonhole yourself as a vegan trainer because you won't have enough clients. But what's interesting is when I was trying to work with everybody, I was actually looking for a lot more work than I do now. Now people come to me specifically for the fact that I am a vegan trainer, and then probably just because I am a woman myself, I just gravitated more towards helping women specifically. And that's what I feel like I'm good at. I did help some men transform initially, but I really just enjoy helping other women. And I think it's also too, when it comes to specializing in something, you know, all of us, we only have so much time. So when I am doing research on hormonal health or weight loss, I am mainly looking for those things that apply to women. So once I changed my business to be that's actually when I became more successful and was able to do this full time and thriving and growing every year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm so happy for you. And I want to talk about this woman health and hormone health on a plant-based diet. So when someone has come to you, did you realize any changes from the coach perspective? If someone is vegetarian or maybe American standard eater and they go fully vegan, is the hormone panel changes and how faster that's happen?
Well, I'll tell you what I have seen, more so than changing from a particular type of diet to a vegan diet. It's really about how your weight impacts your hormones. And, you know, I think that's something that there needs to be more of a conversation about, that there isn't so much because of now, you know, we preach a lot of body positivity, which is important. You should love yourself no matter what, but you also have to acknowledge that if you are very overweight, that does have an impact on your hormones. Everything has to adjust. That's why when we see people who are dealing with obesity, other diseases increase as well, like diabetes and certain cancers. And it's because everything has to sort of recalibrate to function, and that includes your hormones. So what I see with the women that I work with is oftentimes if they're heavy and they get their weight down to a healthier level, their hormones will improve. As far as specific foods, I do think that if you're eating a lot of processed foods and high sugar foods, that definitely does have an impact on your insulin response, which is a hormone. But I see people who will do that on both a standard American diet and a vegan diet, because we know it's possible. You can be a junk food vegan. Yeah. So it's important to improve the quality of your foods. And while health is not necessarily a size, I think if you have certain markers that show that, you know, you do need to lose some weight, that we do need to consider how that is impacting your body internally, not just what you look like. And I would like to see people focus more on that. You know, weight loss is not always about a certain size. It's also about how things function internally. And it's very taxing on your system, on your heart, on your skeletal system, and on your endocrine system, which is your hormones as well.
Yes, absolutely agree with you. But one thing I realized, and I want to talk about that because I saw that with my clients and with me personally. So especially females, like particularly females, when for some reason, not fully even vegan diet, when our females take dairy, any dairy out of the diet, something switched to the point that periods start to be much easier every month. That's happened with me. I was having crazy cramps every month before I went vegan. No one else could help me. My, gynecologist was saying, you just need to get baby and everything will be all right after that. And then,
Oh, that's all, huh?
yeah, that's funny, right? And then when I went vegan, because I was vegetarian almost all my life, when I went vegan, my cramps are gone. And I was like, that's interesting. And then I tried to do the same thing with my clients, because a lot of women struggle with that. And it's helped for like maybe 90% of my clients. So have you seen this in your practices?
Yes. So dairy specifically is something I'm just not a fan of it because it does have so much hormone in it. So I think that's a good thing to bring attention to. So even though you can be a junk food vegan, a lot of times when people switch to a fully plant-based diet, you eliminate a lot of foods that contain a lot of hormone disruptors or antibiotics, which unfortunately is in a lot of these factory farm animals that is what the mass produced dairy cheeses and things that we see are made from. So you get rid of that and you will feel better. It's kind of funny to me that people are so concerned about soy, yet dairy is full of growth hormone. It actually happens to be bioidentical to the growth hormone that's in adults. So it will start to turn things on within your body that might otherwise stay silent or uninterrupted and cause a lot of hormonal issues for many women. So dairy is definitely a big one. But we do see that in the way that a lot of meat is produced as well, animals that are fed tons of antibiotics, which antibiotics are something that's going to be a hormone disruptor. So when you go vegan, you automatically cut a lot of that out. Now, as I said before, you can still be a junk food vegan and be consuming other things that aren't that good for you. But when it comes to endocrine disruptors and antibiotics, a lot of that is gone when you're no longer consuming meat or dairy.
Yeah. And especially now, I think nowadays when people go vegan, they have so much junk options that sometimes I don't even know what's choice is better. It wasn't like that 9 years ago when you went vegan, and I 6 years ago, not as long, but still it's like good and bad in the same time. I kind of happy to see, like those vegan cheeses and vegan burgers out there for people who are looking for alternatives. But in the same hand, when I turn on the ingredients and I look at that, I'm like, oh my God, you shouldn't eat that.
Yes.
But it's vegan. So that's kind of like hard. So how you manage that, how you explain your clients, and like what's the good vegan option and what's is not as good one.
Yeah, well, what I'd like to try to explain to everybody is, no matter what diet you choose, whole food is best for everybody. And these vegan options that exist, like ice cream and cheese, should still be secondary items. The way that I approach a diet, I'm a flexible dieter. So I do incorporate some processed foods, but the base of your diet should come from whole food sources. And these snacks and desserts, just like most people know, like you shouldn't eat that all the time. And just because it's vegan doesn't necessarily mean it's a health food product. Skittles are accidentally vegan. And most French fries are as well. So is it something that occasionally you can probably have? Sure. But it shouldn't make the basis of your diet. The basis of your diet should still be vegetables and fruits and healthy protein sources like tofu and tempeh or homemade seitan, lentils, and of course, grains and seeds, nuts, all that. That should be the basis of your diet. And these other foods, it's nice that they exist because whenever we have holidays coming up, like we do right now, or it's someone's birthday, you have alternatives, but these are still things that you need to be aware of portion sizes and also make it more of an occasional thing.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think about oils? 'Cause a lot of people goes on the vegan diet and then consume a lot of oils and, high fat foods,
Mhm.
especially popular right now, which just makes me crazy, like this keto diet everywhere and label in
Yeah.
every item in the store, like label is keto, even if it doesn't have any keto sign inside, it just have fats.
Mhm.
So what do you think about high oils and fats in particular?
So I definitely hear what you're saying with the keto diet. And I think a lot of people that try it need to realize they're not even in ketosis anyway, because the majority of the people that I meet that are trying to do keto, they do it for like 5 days in a row.
Yeah.
And then they kind of go ham on bread or rice, whatever they're eating. So they're never truly in ketosis anyway. So if that sounds like you're probably making yourself do more work than you need to. But when it comes to veganism, I know that there are some people who try plant-based keto diets, but those are few and far between. But one thing that I do hear a lot of is going very low fat vegan diets. And I have to tell you, I hate those, especially for women. I think it's the worst thing. If you want to age fast and watch your hair break off, go on a low fat diet.
Mm-hmm.
It's women really take it to extremes. I have so many girls, regardless if they have to lose weight or not, where we have to have a conversation about healthy fats. I think especially for females, this is important because it not only impacts the way that you absorb certain nutrients, but also the way your body produces hormones. So when it comes to the way I structure a diet for clients, all of my clients are on different diets. I focus on macronutrient counts that are appropriate for each individual, and then I make specific recommendations per each client, because I have some clients who do very well on higher carbohydrates, some clients who don't. But I have to tell you, by and large, most people do well in moderation with
Mm-hmm.
enough protein to sustain lean body mass, not total pounds, but lean body mass, a medium amount of fat that will give you what you need for healthy hormone production and vitamin absorption. And then generally carbohydrate kind of fluctuates with people's activity. And also, some people do deal with insulin resistance and they might be more sensitive. But I really like a moderate amount when it comes to fats. I don't like to see women on anything less than 40 grams of fat per day.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, I generally want to see more than that. But I love healthy fats. When it comes to certain oils, I think oil should be like a light condiment, not necessarily a staple. Like I like to see people getting healthy fats mostly from whole foods like nuts, avocados, tofu has some fat in it, more
Mm-hmm.
so than I want to see them like pouring oil all
Mm-hmm.
over everything. But I think a little bit of oil is okay.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you. I use the same approach with my clients. And yes, girls likes to everything no fat in it. And then it's like a game in a store. You go and then you check all the ingredients and you choose the option that it has zero fat. But on the other
Mhm.
hand, I always want to like know how this, let's say, yogurt, which is from almonds, now zero fat. Like it
Mhm.
doesn't sounds right? So what they did to the almonds to took all the fats out, right? So I wanted people to remember about that. If something naturally has natural fats, just like you said, like nuts or avocado, just don't try to take it away from the product because it's nothing gonna left in there. It's gonna be empty calorie, right? Doesn't need that. Your body not gonna be feeling great on this. So I agree with you. I'm happy you're doing this. I think more coaches like that should be out there because like especially in the bodybuilding world, it's
Mhm.
just really unhealthy environment and you have to deal with different type of diets people do, right?
Yeah.
So I want to ask you a little bit closer if
Sure.
you can share that. because I met you actually and the time that you wasn't competing, and you shared with me that you got a not as bad but not as great experience, and your hormones was affected by
Yes.
doing competition. So could you share what happened and what did you do? Because I know you successfully did your competition just recently. So could you share what's happened?
Yes. And actually, I just want to be very honest with your audience and tell them that I still struggle with hormonal issues. But I think the difference between now and then is that I'm aware of them. So I am better able to deal with them than I did before. So I deal with a couple of different things. One of them is hypothyroidism, which means in layman's terms, the best way I can explain it is my metabolism is slower than most people's. So a lot of times people relate that to specifically body weight, but I was never overweight. And your metabolism is just like cellular turnover, how things function in the body. So it doesn't just impact your weight. It's something that can actually impact other hormones and also even brain function. And that's actually how it impacted me. It actually became quite serious to the point where I couldn't even drive just because I couldn't think clearly. So that's something that I dealt with, where I tried to go the holistic route for an entire year. Even though my lifestyle was very healthy, I tweaked it even more. And I did find some supplements that were helpful for me that I still use now, but I suspect that my body had probably been in hypothyroidism for some years before I was actually aware of it. You don't always know, to have these things checked, which is why now I do regular labs, but at that time I did not. And so now at this time I do take medication to keep my thyroid normal. I know that within the bodybuilding space, there are some people who abuse thyroid medication to lose fat. If you look at my numbers, they're not impressive. I'm still on the bottom end of normal. And the other thing that I deal with is I am in perimenopause. And that was something that I didn't even know existed 2 years ago. And that might sound ignorant to some people, but, I really think it's important to highlight that women's health is still secondary, even in this country. Like if we look at most studies, most of them are done on men. And even when it comes to hormones and menopause, a lot of these studies are done on women who are in their 50s and 60s, who've already been through menopause. There's not a lot of data in between. And something that I didn't realize, but it makes perfect sense, is, you go through puberty, you start to menstruate, and then it's not like all of a sudden at 50 your period goes away and you go through menopause. There's a decline. So for most females, you will start to become aware of this decline somewhere in your late 30s to early 40s. That doesn't mean you're in menopause yet. It just means the hormones are starting to change. So your body is just not producing the same amount as it once did. And this isn't necessarily a health marker. It's just, no matter how well we eat and exercise, all of us are mortal. So it's just a fact of life. But when that happens, it affects every woman differently. And that's why a lot of times people will ask me, like, oh, well, what's your regimen? And I said, look, I'm happy to share it with you. But even if you were my identical twin sister, the protocol would still be different for you, because it depends on not only how things change in your body, but also your lifestyle as well. And, the fact that I still choose to compete, that I like to run my own business, I probably am, doing a little more than maybe the average person would. So this possibly could be the reason why it hit me so hard when it did. But I have to tell you, when it did hit me a couple years ago, I felt so bad that when I was going to get my labs done, I thought they were going to tell me that I had terminal cancer.
Oh my God.
I felt so bad. My fatigue was so bad. I had severe insomnia to the point where I was exhausted but could not fall asleep. I would just come lay down on my couch and cry because even though I was exhausted, my body wouldn't sleep. And later I found out this is because my body was not producing progesterone. The progesterone is a hormone that complements estrogen and helps you relax and sleep. And my body stopped producing it.
Wow.
And a lot of women, progesterone is it's very common that's the first thing that will go. And it is something that I supplement now. So you can choose to go through menopause and naturally let everything decline. I choose to pad things and my life is so much better for it. So I take that and a couple other hormones, which just keep my levels on the higher end of normal, which makes me feel so much better. And your lifestyle does impact your hormones, but so does age. And none of us are getting any younger. So what I would encourage every woman to do is understand that nothing will ever replace sleep and diet and water and stress management. So you must have those things in order. And even though I was very much into a fitness lifestyle, it's so crazy to me now, but I felt like I could shortcut myself on sleep. So I had very unhealthy sleep patterns. And I think that that's part of the reason why my thyroid went the way it did. And also why when my hormones started to decline, it was so miserable for me. But what I did right away, like I said, I do supplement these things and I do have to be on thyroid medication. But I think it's important that women understand, like, supplements and medication can help you, but they do not take the place of lifestyle. So I did have to make some lifestyle changes. I'm very much aware now of my sleep, and sometimes I do still shortcut myself here and there. I'm not perfect, but it's much better than it used to be. And when I first started going through this process, I felt angry because I was like, why is this happening to me? I feel like I do so much right. But, I think anybody, I'm like, what am I not doing? I know, yes, I can make a list of all the things that I'm doing right, but what am I not doing, or what could I do a little bit better? And that was where I started to level things up. And I remember speaking to my doctor. I work with a functional medicine doctor to help me with my hormones. And she was telling me, this is probably going to take you a while to correct. And I said, well, yeah, but each month I'm going to feel a little bit better, right? And she was like, well, yeah, that's true. And it was true. So I felt actually really good after 1 year. But even so, as I was working on things, every month I got a little bit better and a little bit better. And now, it's been over 2 years into this journey for me. And I'm so glad I put in the work. I think a lot of times, especially in America, people want an instant fix. They want to take something and have everything be better right away.
Yeah.
And, you have to give it more time. You have to give yourself more time. Not everything is instantaneous like that. And honestly, if that's your attitude, that could be part of what made you sick. I take responsibility for myself and say, with my own impatience and how I wouldn't always sleep the way that I should, and some of the choices that I made, that's probably what put me in that position. But you can turn these things around. My life is totally different now than it was 2 years ago.
Yeah, I'm so happy for you. And thank you so much for sharing this with us. How did
You're
you
welcome.
find your doctor? Like, if someone is struggling, I was always wondering, I think it's not easy to find good hormone doctor. So can you share it?
Yes, absolutely. So I am very blessed that I have known this woman that I work with for over 10 years now, but I know not everyone is that fortunate. And so many times, like I said before, women's health is still secondary,
Mm-hmm.
and you might be suffering from bad periods, or things might affect you mentally like they were me, and doctors will automatically put you on antidepressants
Mm-hmm.
or recommend birth control. And
Mm-hmm.
what you really need to know first is what do your numbers look like now, which is why I do regular labs. And I recommend every woman get a lab panel once a year. If
Mm-hmm.
your doctor won't do it for you, you can pay out of pocket. You can order these things online now. I work with a company called Life Extension. I don't work with them personally, but I have ordered labs there where you can go onto their website. They have female hormone panels. There's a
Mm-hmm.
variety of them. The two that I recommend is, if you can afford it, I love the female elite comprehensive panel, because it will tell you absolutely everything. But if you're
Mm-hmm.
looking for a smaller panel, the weight loss panel is very good as well. And you can order it online, and they have doctors all over the country that they're networked with. So they'll sign off on the requisition, and you can take it to a local lab, like here on the West Coast. LabCorp is very popular. You walk in, they do the draw, they send off the specimen, they email you the results, usually within a week's time. And what's nice is they will give you a free 30-minute phone call where you will speak to their wellness expert. These people are not doctors, but what they will do is, if anything is a red flag or you have questions about your results, they will tell you what that means.
Mm-hmm.
So now that you have the results as in a PDF, you can now take that to a doctor that you would like to work with.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one solution. If your GP or OBGYN is not helpful, what you can do. But what I do tell women to do is especially in the last year, many of the women that I work with, they say like, oh gosh, it takes so long to get an appointment. Call ahead and say like, hey, this is the insurance that I have. These are my concerns.
Mm-hmm.
Do you do hormone optimization, or are you willing to help me? Just ask them up front, because unfortunately there are some doctors that, unless you are already diagnosed with a medical problem, they'll say, we don't feel like it's worth it.
Mm-hmm.
So just, you got to do a little bit of homework, but you can find people to help you. I encourage you to call ahead before you make the appointment, to make sure that this is a doctor who's aligned with what you want to look into,
Yeah, with hormone
because
health.
not everyone is so open-minded.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, I agree with you, especially being plant-based. As soon as you're gonna say you're plant-based and
Yeah.
you have a problem with hormones, that's why.
Well, yeah, and to be very honest with you, I love my doctor, but she told me originally, she said, I know you're vegan, you might not be able to be vegan anymore. And I was like, no, we'll find another way. But
Yeah.
she was open-minded though, and she was willing to work with me, and she helped me in certain aspects. And then where I need to level things up nutritionally, she was open with letting me find my own resources that were vegan, and
Mhm.
the nutrients that I did have a deficit in, or that just needed to be optimized a little bit more, I was able to do
Amazing.
plant-based.
Yeah, great. It's so good. Yeah, thank you so much. It's a lot of helpful information out there. And I would definitely add in the description below this website you use for clinical lab. I think it's amazing resource. So anyone who need that, you can just check the description below the podcast. And I can talk to you so long, and I have so much more questions, but we kind of run out of time. So I'm going to ask you the last question that I ask everyone on my podcast. What you going to do if it's going to be the last day of your life on this earth?
Ooh, that's a very good question. I would just like to be with the people that I'm closest to and really spend quality time talking to them, maybe doing an activity together. No phone, no TV, just good quality time and conversation with the people I love. That's what I would want most.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing this. And I have a kind of small game I play with everyone in the end. So I'm gonna
Okay.
say two things and
Mhm.
you should choose one. Okay.
Okay.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Black or purple?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Black or purple?
Black.
Gym or outdoor workouts?
Gym.
Beach or mountains?
Oh man. That's tough. But I'm gonna say the beach because I like warm weather best.
Okay. Juice or smoothie?
Smoothie.
Wine or water?
Water.
Chocolate or sweet cream?
Oh, chocolate all day.
Kiss or hug?
Kiss.
Love or sex?
Love.
Okay, thank you so much for being honest. It was a small game. And I just really love you and I love what you're saying. Thank you so much for finding time today to talk to me and to my audience and share your experience. So if anyone
Thank you for
wants
having
to
me.
find you, yeah, of course. And if anyone wants to find you, how they can find you, tell us.
So you can either go directly to my website, which is lafemmevegan.com, or you can follow me on Instagram. That's where I'm most active on social media, just at Vegan Coach Jasmine.
Awesome. And I will add all this information down below, guys. And I encourage you to go and watch the video if you listen to this, because Jasmine looks so young. And when you said how old are you, I was like, whoa, you look so good. Thank you so much
Thank you.
again. And I am really excited to talk to you more in the future. And wherever you want to say before you go, please do.
I just want to say, obviously my passion, aside from just veganism and fitness, really is helping other women and empowering them to take control of their health. So I just want to encourage your listeners to do their own homework. And, if you are met with resistance by people who tell you you can't get in shape on a vegan diet, or that, seeing your own health markers really isn't that important. We're fortunate to live in modern times where we have access to these things, where we can go ahead and do the research and get these resources ourselves. So if you're not getting the support you need, please don't give up. Look a little further. The resources exist, and there are other people out there that want to help you and support you.
Yes, absolutely amazing. Thank you so much again. And I
Thank
wish you have
you.
an amazing